Welcome back to this Let's Play. Yes,
My name is Icarix, by the way.
yes, and I'm Kunagusis. As you can see, new turns progressing as I'm building up my forces in Iberia. Try and begin my pushback on the Lusitani after their grievous offences of attacking us with our trousers down.
That's the worst time to be attacked.
Yes. As you see, 2 more turns before I get that new mercenary barracks. And that's where I actually get some actually pretty damn good mercs.
Yeah. How?
So yeah, and as we see, the Admiral Loyalists are pretty much done for. With having reclaimed Corsica and Sardinia.
Well, that sucks.
How's that suck?
Well, he's done for, isn't he?
Yeah, it sucks for them, not for me.
I know. All the same, I feel bad for everyone.
Yeah, well, that level of empathy won't get you anywhere.
Such senseless violence, and for what?
Territorial gain, ambition.
Who needs territory when you've got the Lord and Savior nature?
Yes, charming words.
Thank you.
So yeah, I bumped up the taxes to give myself a little bit of extra cash each turn. So yeah, we're at a new turn, or possibly not, I can't tell. Probably not, but going through the old diplomacy. Yeah, not a new turn. My army's lying in ambush, in case the Arvaki came down to cause some trouble. Checking out the replenishment for my troops. Another 2 turns, it seems, and they'd be ready for action. So yeah, now having a look at the territory the Arvaki own. But yeah, and my spies helping with that. They're building up their forces. So yep, it's going to be another while longer before they're taken care of.
Sure, what to do in all that time.
We're in a new turn. And a general gained a rank, and so did one of my dignitaries. He's my governor in Carthage. So that's kind of helpful. And now I'm just leveling up my dignitary. Or judge, as he's called here. Get that empire maintenance down.
How can I serve Carthage?
And now I'm finally recruiting a champion for that new army. Since, you know, I want to train and drill those troops. I can always start upgrading the armor of these guys now that I've gotten Corsica and Sardinia back.
What kind of armor do they get?
Nothing, it's just a small little armor bonus. It's nothing special, it's just more like a bonus percentage to their existing armor level.
Oh.
If you own territories that have copper or bronze, or copper or iron, you can upgrade weapons or armor for your troops. So yeah, dealt with those guys finally. Just a general. So yeah, I'm checking what I can recruit here. Just banning those Gallic swords, I just get a new load of ones. But yeah, so sensing how long they need to replenish. And I'm contemplating upgrading Carolus. Checking my research and yeah, getting those aqueducts to help with growth and sanitation. So yeah, so look over what to upgrade now. And I'm going to decide to get a harbour to boost the wealth of Africa. I'm going to get another harbour.
See, this is what life is all about. Just building your empire, just making sure all the people prosper. None of this bloodshed, this needless bloodshed that gets spilled everywhere. This is what life is like, man.
Except sometimes they need to get the that sort of money from somewhere. So you get it from booty.
So there
After
has to
defeat
be
your enemies.
there has to be more humane ways of earning money. I mean, like, who needs booty when you've got like community?
Yeah, well, some communities have a bit of a kicking for war. And so they might cause you trouble. Unless you give them trouble.
Then I worry for their poor, poor souls.
Yes, such a preacher.
They have no other means of life. They find war as their only answer. That beyond.
Yeah, you can just ignore what he's saying now, everybody.
No, people, dear subscribers, please listen to me. War and violence is not the answer.
Yeah, well, in this game, it is the answer to basically everything.
Then this game is an affront to humanity.
What do you expect from a game called Total War? It's hardly...
I expect total peace, not total war.
Yeah, well, Total Peace isn't
Total
exactly...
War.
doesn't make for very fun gameplay.
There are tons of indie games out there that have pretty much nothing but walking around and just like planting stuff in your gardens. I beg to differ, to be fair now.
For real-time strategy, though.
Ah,
Anyways,
forget it.
Treaty between us
Pergamon
would
wants
bleed
non-aggression and I seemingly refused them.
war. We
And
will
the Galactic
refuse-
decided to
I
declare
refuse to
war.
discuss this even
Despoil
further.
your women, enslave your children.
And the Galactic decided to declare war on me. Though I'm not sure if anything comes from it. I decided to put a bit more of emphasis on my civic research.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. Your spies are shit.
And I'm just upgrading my new governor there.
Ready for orders.
Was I start recruiting more troops?
Are you
Get
ready
some of
to
those new
serve?
Skitari now. Now I'm gonna get some Balearic slingers. So I can finally start recruiting them.
When do we get to hire some African elephants, man?
You miserable
I pretty much have been hiring African elephants.
Well, Indian elephants, whatever.
As Carthage, like, never unless you capture territory within India.
Boo! I want to see Indian elephants.
Well, maybe in one of the next Let's Plays we might do, possibly, you know, who knows, figure that out. We'll probably showcase some Indian elephants.
Yay!
But we'll have to figure that out, because probably the next campaign we might do is in 1.3. And I'm kind of thinking doing the Idrisians, because they got an overhaul. And that means there'll be no Indian elephants. Some chance of seeing them through the Seleucids. If it decided to expand in towards the east in Syria and fighting Seleucids, and you might get access, then you might be seeing some Indian elephants. But anyways,
We'll see where the wind takes us.
Yes,
see
we'll
where
probably-
both the wind and the sea.
yes, we'll probably figure it out. But you'll eventually get your Indian elephants someday.
The wind and the sea will guide us to our Indian elephants in the near possible future.
Yes, he's got a weird fixation on the old Indian elephants now.
They're
But
the most powerful
recruit,
elephants on Earth.
except the African elephants are bigger. Well,
Yes, but the Indian elephants are cooler.
well, I say bigger. It kind of depends. I think it's the African bush elephant that's the biggest elephant around, but that's not the elephant the Carthaginians used.
We fight for you.
Whatever.
Which means the Indian elephants were bigger. Of course, in this game, there's no distinction between them in terms of actual size of the models. So aside from just other aesthetic stuff, they're not going to have any size differences. But anyway, so as you see, closer to getting that newer army and newer units ready, which will do me a lot of good in fighting.
What kind of
against
army
my-
is it?
Well, just getting those newer units like Skitari and our first
Aye.
battle here now of the part. Of course, it's not with any of those newer units, but still. We will see one battle next. The next battle, I think, will have at least new Skitari.
Boola boola.
But yes, here we are in our battlefield against the Arvaki. Apologies for the choppiness of this. I think this is an OBS related problem. Which,
OBS has been the bane of his existence recently.
well, not recently.
Not by a huge margin, but just like
Until recently, it had been a problem. Until recently, it had been a problem. But that's been sorted now. But anyway, so my Numidians are basically running away after having picked up the enemy position, and they're throwing their javelins as they go. Whereas the rest of my forces are deploying. Pretty straightforward affair, this one. Got my slingers lined up, ready to fire as my troops are following behind. My mercenary Editanian cavalry.
lined up in an orderly fashion.
And they go and attack those Celtiberian skirmish cav. And trounce them with no casualties. And my slingers are firing. Hoplites are lined up behind them. They'll soon go into their phalanx formation.
Sure, if they're gonna slaughter if they're gonna slaughter an entire army, might as well do it in an organized fashion.
Well, that's the thing. A lot of the times Greeks and Romans like to fight organized. And Carthage is kind of using the Greek system with hoplites. So, you know. As you see, a bit of a skirmish going on. And the brawls are about to begin.
It's like they're killing everyone in a straight fashion line, basically.
Yeah, my cavalry are trying to avoid those spears. Now my infantry are charging. So my mercenaries Scutari are fighting those spears. And moving some of my lighter troops forward. Yeah, unfortunately the shrubbery here does make it a little bit harder to see what happens. There's nothing I can do with that in this game.
Sure, if this was a more technologically advanced game, it could probably even serve as like some good cover, actually.
I think the trees and stuff do have a bit of an invisible wall for missiles.
Really?
I believe so. There's certain areas, and call them structures you might say, within the game that do have little invisible walls that will block missiles. It's a little wonky though, because sometimes you'll see a big wide-ish area compared that just catches missiles randomly.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not like perfect, but it's what we've got basically. But I think more recent Total War games you can actually hide all that foliage. You can properly better hide that foliage so you can actually see what goes on better. But anyways, so my Ligurians are fighting some enemy spearmen. As my hoplites are also engaging enemy troops. And the enemies are getting a little bit piled on here. Being hit in the flank by my swords, and my elephants are moving up. I mean, those are some pretty elite troops, I think, they're fighting.
How elite?
Well, I know the Bricantior are pretty strong. Pretty heavy duty, I think, like elite swordsmen, Celtiberian swords. And it looks like I wasn't paying attention to my Editani cavalry because they've taken some heavy casualties there.
Ouch.
Sure, they're mercenaries. And my elephants have hit the enemy, so they're just going to start causing some damage.
The humanity.
That's the thing, I like having my elephants hit the enemy in the flank or their rear.
Is it me, or does it look as though they're doing the robot down there? I don't know. Some of the movements down there looked as though they were like in a rave doing the robot.
Yeah, that's probably your delusions acting up again.
That's right, dear subscribers. I've been known to suffer many different delusions, and that was one of them, apparently.
Anyway, so
Even though I know what I saw, damn it.
yeah, no. Anyways, so my elephants are beginning to move on to other sides. First, they're helping to relieve my Ligurian spears. And already those enemies are wavering.
That was easy.
Well, elephants do a lot of damage and can provide, just their very existence, you might say, provides morale penalties.
Makes makes battle very dull though if it's like a quick slaughter actually.
Anyways, my slingers are firing those guys as my sacred banner moving. And my elephants are moving by now, killing more foes and breaking them. As they're starting to go down. The enemy are basically starting to crumble now, which is good. But the enemy generals engaged with my hoplites and elephants.
Sure, they didn't even stand a chance, like.
Not really, no. I kind of know what I'm doing now. It's Carthage, and I got some pretty decent troops. But yeah, so my elephants are moving in. Gonna smash into those guys. Those are my Gallic sword band fighting. And now
Get out of the way, you dumb idiots.
And there we go, now we're on to the routing phase, which I don't think we'll show the whole thing here. But as you see, this is one of the things from Numidian Shine, the routing phase.
They're very good at their routing phases, huh?
Well, it's because they're really, really fast. Well, they're pretty fast as cavalry, so they're able to kind of just mow down retreating enemies. So there we go. A lot of the enemies defeated.
Did that without so much as a scratch.
Well, bit of some scratches, but I didn't lose any entire units.
Figuratively speaking.
And I enslaved the captives.
You monster.
So, lost out on some trade agreements, but now I'm trying to get trade with the Arverni,
Let me hear your talk.
who have
I
access to
warn you,
gold.
I have no stomach for the meek or nice.
Yeah, it took a
Your
bit of
money may
negotiating
favor
there.
among whores, but we will not be used for
Yeah,
your
it'd be nice
filthy
if,
pleasure.
you know, the type of diplomacy found in, like, Three Kingdoms was here, but it
Be
wasn't.
grateful that you are not eating this mighty treasure.
Which,
piece
of course,
by
Three
piece
Kingdoms came
with
much
oil.
later, but still. You know, that's
I
arguably some of the best
accept it.
diplomacy in Total War, I
We will
believe.
gladly listen to your offers, but do not wrap them in lies.
But yeah, now trying to get trade with the
spirits know
Aquitani.
truth.
An easier deal with them. And so I research another civil tech. And one turn left for this army to be built up.
Better make it count.
I was trying to figure out what I recruit next. What do I need to get next? I think it's 2 more swords. Yeah, another Kaitrati and another Skitari. There's another enemy full stack there. So I'm weighing my options. So I pull back into my territory. So I can replenish and recruit new troops. So I disband some of my swords there. So I can see what I can get next. Yeah, I start merging up my Skitari. And I disband that lot. And I recruit 2 Skitari there. The ones I'm just recruiting there are better than the mercenary ones I have easily available.
How so?
Their stats are all round better. It's really the best I could just put it. They have better stats all round. 1 infantry bonus. So yeah, I make some amendments to my recruiting. What I do is I stop there, so I can move this army closer to the borders of the enemy. And then I start recruiting again. What that also happens to do means that it'll take 1 turn to recruit those troops in the other army. So yeah, another Qart-Hadasht and another Skitari. Yeah, I've stopped using Qart-Hadasht now.
Why?
Because I've got the Rayo swords.
Ah, right. Okay.
Which aren't, like, necessarily entirely better, but probably a little bit more, call them, rounded troops.
Basically, they're just like a nice substitute, basically.
You could say that. They better, I think, like, melee defense, and better morale. And some of that melee defense is because of their big shields. Because the way melee defense is calculated is units have a base defense, and then they have a shield bonus. And I think Qart-Hadasht have a shield bonus of, like, I think 2, because their shields are quite small.
Wow.
The Libyan Theraeo swords, which I've been using in my armies now, have a shield bonus of like 7. The highest, I think, shield bonus is like 8. And that's usually for units that have like Roman style shields. But yeah, so that's kind of how my armies have been lately. But of course I'm not at that stage yet to get those kinds of troops.
Still requires a lot of waiting and waiting.
Well, I just had to wait about 60 turns overall. It's from
60 turns, oh my god.
about 60 turns to get Theraeus reforms, and that gives me those Libyan Theraeus troops.
Oh my god, 60 turns.
Which probably isn't too far away from this point. I'm not sure when I get those troops, because I don't know what turn it is as of this. But probably get them not too long.
Oh my god, we've been at this forever.
Please.
Men yearn to be remembered.
Yeah, just ignore that little cinematic.
Well, it's great to know that Civil War ended at the very least. You know, I mean, like,
Yeah,
one
'cause
war has ended and now even more bloodshed will happen.
pretty much never-ending war. It's just how it goes.
Life stinks.
So I take, looks like I'm about to take that army out of, I take them out of the, whatchamacallit, the patrol stand, so I can start recruiting. I was also checking whether or not I could change the port in Syracuse to a military port. I couldn't, so yeah. So I recruit a champion and start recruiting some new troops. Now I'm starting to recruit some Gaisatai. Those guys are pretty fun to use.
I've never heard of Gaisatai before. Who are they?
They are naked Gallic spearmen. That's basically what they are.
Interesting.
So
Interesting.
they fight naked,
Glad to know that.
but they're really strong. Fun fact, that word Gaisatai, there's actually an Irish equivalent or cognate of that word,
Yeah?
Gashka, which is, well, in Ireland today, that's an award you get from the President of Ireland for stuff. Something you can do to get this nice fancy award, like challenging yourself. An accomplishment.
Well, it is a memorable award. I will give you that.
Yeah. It's, you do stuff like benefiting the community or learn some skills, and you do this sort of thing, set of challenges, and it'll result in an award from the president, and it's called the Gashka Award.
Interesting origin story. Interesting.
Yes, I
story
found that out
regardless.
kind of by accident when I was looking up the etymology of the word Gaisatai, which basically is meant to mean like spear bearing. You know, like it's meant to mean something like spear bearing. And in Irish, in Old Irish, it was Gashgiv, which is now Gashka,
How can I serve Carthage?
with the meaning having slightly shifted
For Carthage. Swift and
to
All of these variations is too much to handle.
but yeah, so that was kind of interesting to find out
How can
that
I
this award you get from the President of Ireland is basically related to bearing the word for basically bearing a spear.
Was this something you researched for school, or just something
Just-
you happened across?
Just, I was curious about the word Gaisatai. I just looked up the Gaisatai and I got curious about stuff and I just found it by chance. Just for my own personal interest. You know, so... I don't know, not long ago. I just thought that was interesting. But yeah, the Gaisatai are pretty damn cool to use. So basically no armor. But they make up
Shows
for
they
it.
have no shame in who they are.
And
They
it's
have no
kind of-
shame of their bodies. They have no shame of their state of mind.
You could think it's like this. It's the ultimate way of demonstrating how badass you are. I'm so badass, I don't even need armor. Or clothing. Other than a cloak. So I'm starting to
So
recruit
they'll
some...
avoid everything else except the cloak. Alright.
But yeah, as you notice, the army composition itself is actually a little different. No hoplites. But anyways, so we move on to attack Numantia.
Let's.
So this is the last battle of this part. And so here we are. As I often do in minor settlement battles, I split my army up into different groups, you might say, into different areas.
Very organized indeed.
The general idea is that I have one group, preferably like my spear line, that will attract the bulk of the enemy army, and they'll endure their onslaught, whilst my more offensively geared troops, my swords, axes, etc., will move ideally behind the enemy to smash into their rears and cause a lot of damage that way. My cavalry will also kind of follow that direction, possibly, or elephants in this case, so all my swords and elephants are on the other side, whilst my spear and cavalry are on the other. So yeah.
You've got them on all sides.
Kind of. As we see though, I moved my troops forward and, well, the enemy quickly rushed in to try and amend what I was doing, but it kind of meant that things were a little bit messy. A bit messy. You know, when the enemy's rushing as you're moving your troops.
I hate messy.
But yes, I quickly get my phalanxes up, or phalanges up. So yeah. So that works out pretty okay.
They're pretty unique. It's a pretty workable system. I'll give them pass.
Yeah. So cavalry is engaging their cavalry now. So yeah, that's handy there. There's my sacred band fighting. Sort of fighting. My Ligurians are doing the bulk of the fighting in that group. And those are my Gauls. Yeah, moving my slingers around so I can shoot the enemy at more vulnerable areas. As the rest of my troops are steadily moving.
Slowly moving.
Well, not that slow, but they're doing the best they can.
Are they carrying a lot of equipment with them?
Some of them are lightish troops. Well, the Qart-Hadasht are light. They've little armor, buckler, shield, some javelins, and a sword. Skitarii are heavier because they have some good armor on them, and they have bigger shields. You know,
It's like a javelin storm over there.
Except my guys are holding the lead bullets basically.
Jeez, I can never tell between javelins and lead bullets.
That's because you're not seeing it closely. You're not seeing the big shafts.
Right, and only you have the sight.
No, it's because I know what my ranged troops are. Slingers.
Alright.
Anyways, my elephants are moving in. They're the first ones to arrive. So yeah. So they're coming in to help my cavalry out. Jumping into the enemy blob.
Sure, the only thing that can defend them against the elephants would be a single guy wielding an arrow, climbing up on them, and then defeating them single-handedly, Lego style.
I think the best units to counter elephants are spear troops, I think axe troops, and two-handed units. I think those are the best things to counter elephants, at least in a melee fight. Though none of that's necessarily ideal.
I mean, they'd still be fucked regardless, like.
They still probably do a lot of damage to the elephants, you know. But anyways, my
dead.
Numidians are snagged by enemy cavalry. You probably didn't notice, but I saw that. My melee troops are moving in. Enemy cavalry is about to attack some of my slingers. I think I just about moved them out of the way. But yes. So my general's fighting their general. As you see, it's a bit of some brutal fighting. My Gallic spears are moving.
The humanity. Oh, I weep for humanity.
Now my Qart-Hadasht have moved in, charging.
Everyone wants to get in on the action down there.
Well, some of these guys are paid to do the fighting.
Just couldn't help but make the observation, is all.
I'm moving unit Skitarii to advance. Those are my new Skitarii units.
Oh.
So yeah, they're moving into attack the enemy ranged troops. Yeah. Much of the enemy is beginning to waver. So yeah. So yeah, my Numidians survived.
Oh, they're trapped now. They're screwed.
Yeah, look, the enemy's beginning to break. But yeah.
Their morality,
Their morale.
not their morality. Their rigor to survive is dropping like a tower of Jenga.
Yes. How profound. But yes, my Skitarii are attacking their slingers. So that's working out pretty well. Yeah, more of the enemy's beginning to break. Yeah. The elephant's getting a lot of kills there. As they usually do. Yeah, so we're nearing the end, aren't we? Of both this part and the battle.
Indeed we are.
So my general's attacking the enemy generals. The Rangers are being chased by my Skitarii. And they're basically going to crumble soon. Indeed, we got a few seconds left. So, I thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed this.
And we will see you in part 2.